Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is I Don't Want to Be a Piece of Shit. I'm your host, Carter Doherty, and I'm here with my guest today.
Zoe Dodson.
And we're going to get to the bottom of it today. So this podcast is I do self help checkups on myself, essentially, a lot of solo episodes. And then I bring people on, a lot of people that I like respect or are doing an aspect that I'm like in admiration of. And also just to like meet my people that I respect, but I don't really get to talk to very often. So you're my second guest of that nature.
Perfect.
Where I feel like I was thinking this while I was showering a bit ago, where I was like, when you're kids, you have high school every day, or like you have school every day. You like get to know people, even if you're not friends. And like, but I feel like with comedy, like you just see people all the time, but you never really get to know them. Because it's not like that long of a time, so I feel like I know everybody, like their names, but I don't like know their birthdays or where they're from or like who hurt them.
Exactly.
So who hurt you?
Everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
How much time do you have?
Let's get to the basics. You're from Aurora, Illinois.
Yes, I'm originally from Bolingbrook, Illinois, but I don't tell people that. I'm from Aurora.
Is Bolingbrook like an uppity, snooty place?
No, it's like the opposite.
Oh.
It's like a piece of shit town. Yeah.
So you claim Aurora.
I claim Aurora. I've lived in Aurora since I was like 20, and I claim Aurora.
Oh, okay, but you're from Bolingbrook.
Technically, I'm from Bolingbrook. Yeah.
Is that where CG's is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're from there, and you were born to a mother and a father.
Yes, I do have a mother and a father.
Yeah.
Mike and Donna.
And were they nice people?
Yeah, my parents are fine. They were fine.
Okay.
I feel like my childhood was mid. I had like a mid childhood.
What was mid about your childhood? What do you wish you experienced more of?
You know, I think like I was poor and stuff growing up, which is just part of it. But I think there's a lot of stuff that comes with being poor. You know what I mean? Like I grew up poor. All my friends were poor. I have a lot of siblings, and I think my house was just chaotic. Like, you know what I mean? I had like a chaotic house. Like my parents worked, and the house was a mess. And like, I think I missed out on like we didn't go on like vacations and stuff like that. Like. So I think a lot of it was just being poor. We were just kind of doing our own thing. I was like raised as an adult, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you had to take a lot of responsibility. Were you a latchkey kid? Were your parents out a lot?
Yes and no. Like I think my parents, I don't want to say that they were like absent, but it's kind of like I just like did my own thing. Yeah.
How many siblings did you have?
4. I have 4 siblings. Yeah.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the second youngest.
Second youngest.
Yeah.
So, what are you close with your siblings?
Yeah, me and my siblings are close. I love my
that's
siblings.
Cool.
Yeah.
They all still live nearby.
Sort of. I have one sister in Miami, and the rest of us are here around.
Yeah, because is it family that keeps you out in the burbs, or is it just that you know it?
I live alone, and like I'm too poor to move to the city, and I like Aurora. It's far from everything I do, which sucks, but it's not really family that keeps me there. Like my mom is still in Bolingbrook, and my little brother's over there, but I don't know, just money mostly that keeps me in the burbs. Yeah.
Whole place $1,585.
No kidding.
I feel like that's pretty crazy for two
that's
bedrooms.
A good deal.
We got laundry right there. We got dishes over there.
Oh, that's a good deal. That's a really good deal.
I know. I'm so freaking mad.
The burbs are expensive too, but like I have parking and shit, but it's expensive still.
Yeah, free parking on these streets.
There you go.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I want to apologize to the podcast for my energy today. I'm running on fumes. I should have. So I didn't prepare my day. I thought I was going to do a big run today, and then I was going to veg out for like 3 hours before this podcast, and then my roommate hit me with, "Hey, we got to move this. I got a Facebook Marketplace person coming." It was like a 100-pound dry bar that I had to. And then I did that after I started. Like I did the like laugh cry after, where when you do something physically strenuous and then you like.
Yeah. The laugh cry.
And so then that like was probably 20 minutes before you got here, and I speed showered, and then I was like,
I can't tell. You seem like you're doing great.
Yeah, I seem like I'm on it.
I can't tell that you were crying. You seem like you're doing great.
I even had like, I don't know if you've ever sweat to where the sweat dries and then it turns into like sand on your face, but I had that, and then I was crying and I had a tear like breaking and picking up all the salt on my face. The tracks of my tears were apparent.
You've been through a lot today.
I know, I have been through a lot. But yeah, so you were poor.
Yeah, I was poor. I was very poor.
Do you?
Yeah.
But you are a girl who works now. Very public on your Instagram story. I always feel kept up to date with the
I post
proceedings
a
of
lot at
Aldi.
work. I posted today at work. I always post at work. I've always worked. I've always worked a lot. That's like what I did as a kid too. I worked.
Man, speaking of poor, it smells like cat piss, and I don't know what. Sorry, my bad. It does smell like cat piss. I'm kind of mad, but it is because we're right in front of the litter boxes. So okay, you're on a path of self betterment. The whole reason I brought you on, I'm all over the place. I need to fucking be mindful and right down the middle. So you're recently sober.
Yeah.
What did you have a rock bottom?
Kind of. I feel
You
like
did? I didn't peg you as a rock bottom person.
I know most people don't. I try to be secretive about it, but I am.
Oh.
I am a rock bottom. I'm like a crash out person. for
Really?
sure. Yeah.
You go balls to the wall
I think like
and crash. Do you like black out?
I have. Yeah. Yeah, I have like plenty of times. I think last year I was just on and off crash out mode like all year.
Really?
And that's why
You
I
just
was
seem so
crashing
like
out. I was trying to hide it, but I was crashing out. I was definitely crashing out. Like,
yeah, your vibe is not like "Wah!" It's
Yeah,
more
no.
like I'm gonna date the school shooter and like vibe. I'm sorry.
you're right.
No, but that's like the
fair.
good part. That's why you're funny, and that's why people are like you have a
Yeah.
vibe that is very interesting and cool, and people want to.
Thank you.
But your vibe, I wouldn't have expected to be one that is a psycho. I feel like I give off more will cause.
You think so?
Do you not think that I give off vibes like he could be a problem?
No, you don't seem like a
Really?
problem to me. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't
Wow.
think- Yeah.
Have you
but-
ever? I don't know if you've ever seen me at a show when I'm hammered.
No, probably not.
Oh, but
Probably
okay.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that a lot, and that's why I don't do a lot of local shows. I think
Did you have a rock bottom? Is that why you don't get hammered anymore?
I've had like a bunch of rock bottoms.
Nice.
The
The more the better.
Yeah, one time I was leaving Beer Belly and I was blackout drunk and I flipped my car and broke my arm.
Yeah, that's worse. That's worse than me.
Never. I don't want to get into the other ones.
I definitely think when I say that I'm crashing out or like I'm going through a phase where I'm crashing out, I think it involves drunk driving every time.
Yeah.
Like that's what, you know what I mean? Like crash out means I'm driving drunk. Like which
I mean, for me, when like drinking was commonplace, it was if I'm getting home, it's via drunk drive. Actually, for a while, I was going fully train, and I think that was keeping me safe. But I was really abusing it, and so I think my
Yeah.
habits got bad. And then I started driving all the time, and I didn't change my habits.
risky business.
Yeah, but no DUI because
I've never had a DUI either. I had to take a field sobriety test.
Really?
Once. Yeah, and that's when I was like, I need to make better choices. Like that
Yeah.
was a close call. That was a very close call.
when I was in college, I like hosted an open mic in Cincinnati, and my college was like 45 minutes away. And then I drove home, and I got pulled over going 91 in a 45,
Oh my god.
and I was like 5 White Claws deep, girly mode.
Yeah, of course.
And
You were on bad bitch mode.
like it wasn't like like drunk, but it was also like 2 a.m. and I was just trying to get home, and it was I lived in, or like my school was in the middle of a bunch of farms, so it was like a long rural highway that I was going 91 on, but it's still insane
Right.
speed
That is
to go.
that's an insane.
So I had that
speed.
happen where I got interacted with the cop, and then when I flipped my car, I interacted with a cop, had a broken arm, and he was like, "Get out of here."
That is so crazy that you flipped your car.
Yeah.
I never got in an accident, and but I definitely was like driving a lot when I should not have been driving.
So you would say the accounting of the driving led to stopping.
Part of it, yeah. And I think just like, I tried to like be sober last year. I tried to be, I was still smoking weed, but like I tried to like stop drinking last year in the fall in like October, and I did really good. I wasn't drinking for like a month and a half. And then I don't know, I was just like around the holidays, I was crashing out. I was drinking every day. And I was like, I just think like I get to a point sometimes where like I have to be like at least like buzzed just to do normal shit. Like if I
Really?
was gonna like see my family, I would want to drink before I see my family, or if I was gonna like, you know what I mean, just like normal shit. And I was like, I can't be drinking all day, like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
I get that, but I do that with weed, where like I feel like I need weed to get the tasks done. Booze with me was more like, when I start boozing, I'm getting blackout and going crazy. Like there is no just calm enjoying the night, nice buzz. It's like there is no just chill sip a cocktail.
True. I definitely like abuse substances. That's why I don't like smoke weed now, just because it's the same thing. Like I would be like high all day, and it's like I can't just be high all day. Like it's not.
Yeah, my goal for the year was to go from January to July without smoking weed. I made it all of January.
Nice.
And then I faltered and have kind of not been not high since, which is kind of bad.
I have smoked weed too. I've faltered like 3 times. I smoked weed 3 times from the beginning of the year, but still before I was like high all the time.
So are you good?
We're crushing it.
Are you? So you were saying like you went like a month and a half without drinking, and then you brought it back. Are you a person where you have to like go all or nothing?
I feel that way. I like realistically, I don't really think I have to be all or nothing, but I feel that way. You know, like once I mess up, I'm like, okay. And that's a problem with me too. Is like if I slip a little bit, I'm like, okay, fuck it, it's over. Like I messed up. Now I'm gonna drink every day again. Like you know what I'm saying?
So I'm shocked that you were able to just smoke weed and then go like, all right, back on track the next day.
I'm trying. That's what I'm doing. Like I'm not high today. I didn't smoke today.
Yeah, I've been like writing it like in my journal, my gay journal. That I'm like
your diary.
Yeah, when I mess up on something, I don't just go I'm a piece of shit now. This is what I do. I'm this every day.
I've always been like that. I think if I mess up once, I'm like, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah,
like,
I missed 4 days of working out.
I'm an alcoholic again. Like I don't know. You know what I mean?
So would you say it was like a substance abuse?
Yeah. I would say so. At least like, yeah, I think just on and off for most of the years, like I was just drinking too often. Even if I wasn't like blacking out all the time, like I was drinking really often. And like I drink by myself. Like I never felt like that was like weird. I was like, I'll drink, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know, just like dumb shit. I feel like for me, I would be drinking to go do stuff. Like, when I was at home, it wasn't as much of a problem every time, but like to function, I feel like I would have to be like impaired to like function in the world with other people.
Yeah,
normal.
See, like the idea of doing that with booze has always scared me. Even though like I was in college in a frat, like I knew I could drink a lot, but like I was like I know it has. I'll get fat because of how much I'll drink and like still eat. So like somehow booze was never like every day, but weed definitely can manifest in that because I'm like, well, I could do everything. But how were you ever going to work drunk? Were you that much of a piece of shit?
Usually no. I would go to work high. Like, for a long time, I would go to work like high as fuck. And I think last year, like my biggest problem was like my anxiety had gotten so bad that like I don't know if it was from like the substances or from just like what I was going through or like a combination. I'm sure it was like a combination. But like my anxiety was just getting like worse and worse and worse. So I was like to go to work and like I work at a grocery store, so like I'm fucking like surrounded by people all day, and it was like super overwhelming for me. Like I couldn't handle it. It sounds stupid, but it's like I felt like I was gonna like panic. Like just being fucking surrounded by people all day was making me crazy. So like yeah, I would get really really high for work, and then I stopped doing that, and then I was like I need to just.
You always go like, this is going to make the day so chill and easy. And that's always the mindset going in. And then you do it and then you get there and you're like, this is the hardest thing of all time. Yeah. I just made this easy thing so hard now.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't doing me any good. Like, it's really not. And I just felt like it was a stupid way to spend my money. Like, on like weed and liquor all the time. Like, this is just dumb. Like, I don't know. I would tell myself that it's going to help, but like, it really doesn't. And it's the same with comedy. Like, I think the drinking... If I wasn't doing comedy, I don't know if I would have been drinking as much, but it's like, I was just like going through a lot, and I was like, now I have to get on stage and be like, oh, hey, fucking, let's all laugh together. And I wasn't in the mood, you know what I mean? So I would like, before I would go to shows, I would get like fucked up, like before I would go to my show, just to like get me through the show, you know? And I think I did the same thing with weed, but like in reality, it makes me worse. Like I think it makes me worse on stage, and I would just tell myself that it makes me better, but it doesn't. Like, I think it makes me worse at comedy.
God, I still don't know. I sometimes I'll get too high when I'm not smoking weed, and then it won't go good. But like this past week, I mean, I was like, I I had such good sets. I was like, and it was because I was so stoned the whole time.
Maybe like I think weed makes me worse. Like sometimes I still think that drinking will make me better as long as it's like in moderation.
Oh, I know
and I'm
drinking
not, like,
makes
fucked
me
up,
better,
you know
but
what I mean? Yeah, like I think drinking makes me better, but I think that smoking weed before I perform makes me worse. Yeah, like I tell myself it'll calm me down and make me better, but it just makes me like dumb.
what's fucked up though, weed definitely just like it puts it puts the ankle weights on. But I feel like with booze, what I've noticed is that when I just haven't drank in a while, my natural anxiety is so much lower, and so I feel like I do better when I haven't drank in a while. But if I'm drinking pretty frequently, if I don't drink before, I feel really anxious, and then that helps.
Yeah, same. Like, and I just felt like drinking all the time or just like being fucked up in general all the time, like whether it was drinking or weed or whatever. I think it made my anxiety worse, like overall, like just day to day. Because I would wake up and feel like, oh, like if I'm not high, I can't do that. Or like if I'm not drunk, I can't do that. Like, you know what I mean?
So like, is drinking a pretty big culture in your fam?
Kind yes and no, because my dad was an alcoholic. He's dead. He had liver
Sorry
cancer.
to hear that.
Yeah, it's okay. He had liver cancer. Like so he was an alcoholic and he like drank himself to death. But I don't know if drinking was
Ooh.
like a big thing in my family other than my dad, right? So
Interesting.
I think like drinking is actually very taboo in my family because of my dad's drinking. Does that make sense?
Like post that, yeah.
Yeah, like he was like drunk every single day, like blackout drunk every single day. And like I think that he would drink like not in the house but like in the garage. Like he would drink on his own, like not in front of us. And like my mom didn't really drink. She used to be into like drugs and stuff, but she didn't really drink. And like at like family get-togethers, there's no alcohol. And like so like my dad was an alcoholic, but like we didn't talk about it. And like we didn't like see the alcohol. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so he was
It's
like
weird.
a
It's
full
like a weird,
functional, or
he had a job.
was it?
Yeah, I mean, he held a job. Like he had a union job. He had a good job.
But like, how was your relationship with him?
It was kind of like, I don't know. It's like complicated because me and my dad got along really well, but he was a drunk. He was like a full blown drunk. So like his routine was basically like go to work, get home at like 4, and start drinking. So it's like there was really like not a lot of windows of time for me to be like hanging out with my dad. He wasn't like a present dad. He wasn't a good dad, like just in terms of being like present. And he didn't really like parent. Like my mom did all the parenting. But
they were together?
They were together. They fought all the time, but they were together. And like my dad, like he was a really really good guy. It's just that like he had a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would it ever like would he get angry, or was he okay?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes he would throw like fit. He would be like, he would just be like out of his mind sometimes.
Incoherent arguing.
Like yelling, like throwing shit, and just not making any sense. Like he would come in the house not making sense, and like every day he would like black out, like in our living room, like on the floor. At the end of the day, he would be like blacked out in the living room, and we would just step over him, and we were just like, this is normal. It sounds so weird now, but like it was normal back then. So I feel like I had not a bad relationship with my dad because he was a good guy, but we didn't spend like time together until he got sick. Like before he died and he was sober, then I would like hang out with him all the time.
How long was that?
He was only sick for, I feel like he got sick around like COVID, like cancer. He got like cancer around like COVID, and then he died in like 2022. So just a couple years.
Okay.
But he was sober for like a couple years because he was dying. So it's like, and he was a cool guy. So like I think I'm a lot like my dad, and so we got along.
Yeah.
And when he was dying, it was cool. I like hung out with him all the time, and it was nice. But my siblings, I don't think like they like resented him a lot more than me.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like I think he's a good guy, but I can't say the
even
same
the
for all my
younger,
siblings.
the one that's younger than you.
The one that's younger than me. Me and him are like the coolest with my dad, and then I have 3 older sisters. They like. It's a little different. Like
I can completely relate to that. I'm the oldest, and I'm not very close with my dad, but my other 2 siblings are.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I didn't really like hold it against my dad as much as some of my siblings do, which is fair.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, he wasn't a good dad, but he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how I look at it. He was a good guy.
Yeah, I mean that's solid. But when alcohol was introduced into your life, how much did it did it apprehend you at all?
I think so. I think like, yeah, I like growing up, I wasn't I wasn't like into like drugs and drinking and stuff really growing up. I think like my parents were really, really honest about like their problems. Like I always like grew up knowing that like my parents used to be in like rehab and they used to like do drugs, and like obviously I knew my dad was drinking. And I think I just looked at it like I don't want to be like that, you know? So I had like an awareness of just like not wanting to do what they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it like kept me away from it a little bit. Even my siblings, like
Yeah, do any of your siblings?
they're way more like straight and narrow than me. I'm like the crash out of my siblings.
Okay.
Like, they don't like do any of that stuff. Like they'll drink like a very healthy, reasonable amount, like at parties and whatever. But I have fucking problems. They don't crash out like me.
Yeah, I mean, but to say you have a problem, at least you're a person who's who's going to go like I want to work on these things, and
Yeah.
you're self-aware rather than
Yeah.
actually crashing out.
That's
for
true.
real.
I could crash out way more. I'm pretty responsible, I think.
Yeah, my dad was never like my dad's a lot like I'm very, very similar to my dad, where like he was never an alcoholic, but he's like had 3 DUIs and like would just like get blackout, and like one time he got pulled over while we were all in the car. Then he got out of the car and tried to fight the cops and got tasered. He's like that kind of drunk.
Oh yeah, my dad was like that.
Where he's just turns into a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or like that's what I do, is I just turn into a problem. Everybody like I'll first of all, I love to run when I get blackout drunk, and I love to yell at people across the street that I'm gonna fuck them up.
Really?
Oh, like I would love to challenge random people to fights.
See, you don't seem that way to me. You don't seem like a...
It's frustrating because what's really frustrating is that people say like your drunk you is the true you, and
I
I'm
don't
like,
agree with that.
I'm like I turn
Yeah,
into an absolute animal.
You're just holding it back.
I know.
When
I'm
you're
like, that's what's
sober.
down
That's
there.
what's inside
That's
of
what's
you.
inside. I just want to fight everybody. I want to, but I'm
Wow.
like, I get vicious and angry. I get so mad about
Like every
comedy.
time you get like super drunk?
Oh,
That's how
every
you
time
get?
I go like, this city fucking sucks. at
Really?
comedy. They don't even fucking know I'm the best. Like,
Interesting.
I get like full big ego, which the big ego's back in there. That's real. But
I
like
don't
all
get
the,
that way.
I'm never. You don't get ego.
No. When I'm drunk, I think it improves me. Like not all the way, but kind of. Like I think when I'm not drunk, I'm very like inhibited, right? Like I'm kind of like rigid, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm pretty like tightly wound sometimes. I think I'm very like shy, and I'm very like. But when I'm drunk, I don't know. I'm just like looser. I'm just like a better, looser version, I think.
Yeah, I think I am 3 drinks,
Interesting.
and then 7 drinks. I just go like,
You ready to fight?
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. This is what am I doing this for? I've been in Chicago for 2 years and I can't get a fucking spot anyway.
Give me spots. This is bullshit.
I will get hammered and complain about not getting spots.
Interesting.
But yeah, what I've been thinking about is that my like dad's drinking never even stopped me one time. I never even could, like, my whole family is all drug addicts, and the whole time, like, I was like, as soon as I get offered weed, I can't
Really?
wait. As soon as
That's
I can drink,
interesting.
oh my God. I always was like,
No way.
I always found out when I was in like middle school that kids were like smoking weed and having sex, and I was like, what the fuck?
Were
How
your
can
parents like strict?
No. I just
So
was
why
that
weren't you
lame.
oh, you just weren't. You
I
were
just
lame.
couldn't get.
I was cool.
I couldn't hang out with the people that had weed in middle school.
Interesting.
And then
I
in high
see-
school, I was like, I sold weed and stuff, and
Okay.
was like but like that. I went from
As you should.
I went from public school to private high school, so I was like the
You were probably so cool there.
yeah, I was the run of the
This
streets.
guy's bad.
No, I went to a inner city private school, so I was still pretty tame.
Nice.
But
Did you get in trouble a lot?
not like crazy trouble, but I like showed up to school high every day,
Mm-hmm.
and like was the guy who got too drunk at parties, and I thought it was like funny,
Mm-hmm.
but I would never get in trouble with like the school. I got in trouble like one time but it wasn't. I talked about it on one of my other solo episodes. I had like this. I'm like a sex freak. In like a couple episodes, I kind of like divulged all my. I have not been in frame at all. But I got in trouble because I logged into this email that I had used to hook up with people on Craigslist when I was in high school, and I got almost thrown out for that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is sex freak behavior.
it is sex freak behavior.
I never really got in trouble.
No,
in
yeah.
school.
Did you get your? Sorry for. I shouldn't have derailed.
No, it's okay. It's good to know.
Yeah, you should. Everybody should stay away.
Sex freak. No, I didn't really get in trouble. I was really responsible. I think like I was just like I was a very like tame, like principled ass kid. Like
Yeah?
I just like pretty much like I had phases, like I had crash out phases like I do now, but I think like when I was really young, I was hanging out with like bad kids, but I wasn't doing bad shit like for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like,
What age did you like drink for the first time?
I really wasn't drinking until I was probably like 16 the first time I drank.
That's
Which I guess is not.
is a
like-
little
I
like,
know, it's like
my roommate that just left. She was 21.
Oh, really? Yeah, but I wasn't drinking a lot. Like I just wasn't into it. I was like, I don't need that. Like, but I was hanging out with people who were like, I think I smoked weed for the first time when I was probably like 14.
Smoked weed before you drank.
Yeah, I think I smoked when I was like 14,
Wow.
but I wasn't into it. I wasn't like getting high all the time.
That's so interesting.
I didn't start doing it regularly until I think there was a time when I was like 17, 18, where like, I don't know. I think I was just like acting out. I was like crashing out a little bit. I was like a troubled teenager. Like I wasn't bad, but I was like troubled. Like
Were
I had
you,
a lot
like,
of
sad?
problems. Yeah, I had problems. I was like going to like therapists and shit. I had problems. So I think once I was like 17, 18 and I had a job and I had a car and I had money and like I started like doing more of that shit. I was like getting drunk sometimes and I started like smoking all the time. Like, but this was like, I'm old. So like back when I was like 17, like you were smoking like actual weed. You know what I mean? So like it was obvious if I was smoking. Like my parents would find it. My mom would find it. I remember she went in my car once and I had weed in my car and like she took it and like she came in. I don't know why she was in my car, but she found weed in my car and like came in the house and like fucking went off on my ass. And like my parents used to smoke weed. So I think when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know. I was like grown as fuck as a teenager. So I was like, you're not going to fucking go in my car that I pay for and take my weed that I pay for. Like, I was like,
Oh wow, you were that kind of kid.
I was very grown. So I was like, you're not going to like tell me like what I can do. Like when I
Ooh, that's
pay for all my
interesting.
own shit. And like, I used to like pay, I like would help my parents like financially when I was young because I worked all the time. So
God,
as
we're
like
so
a
different.
teenager, that's like my life was weird. You know what? I was like an adult, I felt like. So I was like working full time and I was like giving my parents money. And I think I just like, I started to crash out because I think I was like resentful of the fact that like, I don't know, I'd be like, you don't tell me what to do. You guys fucking, I've
So what do you mean
always
by
been,
crash
like, very
out?
independent.
Like,
I would just, when I say crash out, like, especially as a teenager, just doing shit that's, like, unsafe. Like, I think, like, I don't know, I started, like, drinking more, and I would just be, like, out, like, just hanging out with the wrong people, doing stupid shit. Like, why am I in this person's apartment type shit? You know what I mean? Like, normal stuff.
yeah.
But, I don't know. I, like, didn't sleep, and I worked all the time, and I was just, like, I had, like, shitty boyfriends and stuff growing up. Like, I would do shit like that. Like...
I'm sorry I keep laughing, but in my head I'm like, yeah, obviously.
Sounds about
I
right.
keep
Yeah,
going
I
like,
know. I have
you had
that
good
vibe.
problems in
Yeah.
high school. I would have never guessed. You
I
had
know.
bad
You can
boyfriends.
tell I have
Really?
problems.
I never would expect that you would date guys that are shit.
You dated losers?
But, like I have the.
It's my whole vibe. Like,
Yeah. You seem like a person who's doing better now, though.
yeah, I think.
But you seem like in the past it might have been.
Yeah.
Do you still crash out from time to time now? Are you still a sad lady?
I think like I will always be sad. Probably.
Yeah. Is that your default? That you're
I
like.
think that's my brand. Is that no? I
You're
don't
emo.
know. I am like I'm very emo, and when I was like a kid, that was like my thing too. Is like I was just like a sad bitch. I had a lot of problems. Like
What kind of music do you like?
I like everything. I like everything.
You
Listen
like
to a lot
happy
of
stuff?
shit. Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
All right.
You like happy stuff?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll always be a sad bitch, but I don't know. Do I still crash out? Sometimes. Right now,
like
I'm
you like to
working a
do
lot.
risky behavior.
I don't like to.
And then you said, were you, sorry, I cut you off. Right now you're what?
Oh, right now I'm just working. I work like 7 days a week. I'm
Yeah,
like
you
locked
always
in.
seem
I'm
to be
very locked
working.
in. Yeah. I feel like, but sometimes I get too locked in, and that's my problem. Is like I'm not like taking care of myself because I'm so locked in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think like I thrive on momentum. So like I struggle with like motivation and stuff, and like if I'm sad, like that's what I struggle with is like, oh, I'm like gloomy and doomy. Like I don't give a fuck about anything. Nothing matters. Like I get like that.
And then the momentum, I
It
feel like I can
helps
relate,
me.
build this bad as well. So like if you have
Yes,
good momentum going, it's
exactly.
easier to stay good. And then when the bad momentum starts, it's easy to just keep going down that.
Hell yeah. That's why I feel like right now I'm just trying to fix all the crashing out I did last year. Like I wasn't giving a fuck about like my money, and I wasn't giving a fuck about anything. I was just like, who cares?
Yeah,
Nothing matters.
Last episode I was talking a lot about like my ebbs and flows are so like high and low. Like I go like I'm so good, like I'm running all the time, I'm exercising, eating well, meditating, and then like when I crash out, I just go so far, and I let like I spiral until I'm just like I've gained 20 pounds, and I'm so sad, and I'm not reading anything. So what I'm trying to focus on is the things that I can do to make sure that those ebbs and flows are really tight, and I don't just like get too I don't get too locked in.
Exactly. You can't be too locked in. That's my problem right now. I'm kind of like too locked in sometimes. But
what are you doing to make sure that you're not overexerting yourself?
I mean, I have a lot of shows this week, and it's nice when I have shows kind of because so like if I'm not working at Aldi, I do Instacart and shit too.
Oh,
like
goddamn.
I
grinding.
never stop working. Like so but like if I have shows and stuff, I don't have time for that, which means like today I went to work, I got home at like 2 something, and I just like cleaned my house, and I just like chilled for a little bit, which is good for me. Like it's good for me to have time where like I'm like not stuck, but I'm like I need this time to just like be home and not fucking worry about like I'm like gone a lot. I'm always gone, like working and shit like that. So just forcing myself to be home helps me to just like take care of shit. Because if I'm like crashing out and like you said, like ebbs and flows, like my apartment will get like trashed, and I'm not even like a messy person, but it's like that's like the first thing that happens is like my apartment will look like a depressed person's apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just.
And I hate it.
It's from outside looking in, but when I see how much, like, I don't know, I just assume you're always working because I see on your story work things,
working,
and then I'm
yeah.
like, so she works 900 hours a week, and then I see you doing shows, and I know you have to drive an hour. I'm always like, I don't work all day. And I sit in this apartment. Sometimes I go running, and then the show time comes up, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to drive 25 minutes. And then I get to the show, and I come home, and I have done nothing that day, and I'm like, where did the time go?
I'm on my grind. Sometimes it's hard on me though. Sometimes it's like, okay, I have to fucking chill out. Like yesterday, I had 2 shows yesterday, just little shit like in the suburbs. So it was easy because it was in the suburbs. But after my 2 shows, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna come to the city and do an open mic. So I did that. But I got home at like 1 or 2, and then I work at 6. And so sometimes I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh,
like,
I need my beauty sleep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I look like I'm 90 because I don't sleep.
You look great.
Considering I don't sleep.
Yeah,
Doing my best.
But are you feeling less sad girl mode lately since kicking the sauce?
I think it's helping me. Like sometimes I do struggle. I think like sometimes I do really want to drink. Like
yeah,
you know?
Do you
like,
get like
some days
strong
more than
cravings?
others. Sometimes. And like I've always been the kind of person that like I drink like if I'm sad. Like I think I have a bad relationship with like substances. I drink for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And, like I smoke for the wrong reason. Like I don't know if there's a right reason, but yeah, like if I'm sad, I'll be like I want to drink now because I'm sad. Like so I'm trying to like not do that. As long as I don't do that, then I'm pretty solid.
That's great. That's incredible. And you do and do you feel like you're being more productive? Is that helping with that?
That's a problem with weed too, is I think like weed, even no matter what the strain is and like no matter what my intention is, like it'll make me lazier and like slow me down a little bit.
God, I love when I smoke weed and write, because I think that I have like been thinking for a while, and then I'll look at what has come out, and I'm like,
yeah, like I'll look at it the next day, like this is not as funny as I thought it was.
You had half a thought that didn't even and this was 2 hours of writing, just sitting and getting high.
I still think that
I'm
like,
working.
I think weed like has its benefits. Like it has a place. Obviously, I'll probably like continue to smoke like sometimes. I really don't want to do what I was doing before. I was like high all day. Like I have to get high to go to the store, and like I have to. I don't know.
I'm in that flow right now.
Yeah, I don't want to be that.
But getting high and writing is my job, so I'm working 40 hours a week right now, all right?
You're on your grind.
I'm on my grind.
You're locked in for that.
I need to come up with my magnum opus, my great cum joke.
It'll happen.
It will one day.
Cum joke.
So do you feel like your stand-up has been helped? Do you feel that is improving, or do you think that it's actually hurting with no booze?
Interesting. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, I think when I first stopped drinking, that was like my biggest concern is like, I don't know, like I was fucking sad as fuck. Like all of 2024, I was so sad that like every time I performed, I was drinking every single time, like before I went on stage. And like sometimes I drank too much, like way too much. I remember like I had a show once and it was at a club and like I did okay, like, but it's like as I was leaving the club, I was like stumbling out of the club and like I was trying to hide it.
Have you ever fucked up an opportunity from getting too
not yet.
drunk?
And that's what I'm trying to like avoid. And I think that was another. I probably got sober like for a little bit at least after that, because like I couldn't even drive home. I had to lay down in the car because I was so fucked up, and I was like I could have fucked up really bad. Like you know what I mean? Like, so I think now like that was my biggest concern, not drinking anymore. Was like, I don't think I can perform like sober. And like my anxiety is so bad sometimes that like I just felt like I needed to drink to perform. So I think for a while it made me worse at comedy, like just because I was so in my head and like anxious.
But do you feel that anxiety is getting peeled back a little bit?
I think so. I think like now that I've like forced myself to do it so many times, like I've forced myself to perform sober so many times that like I can like appreciate how I'm a little bit better now. It's like more painful sometimes because I'm so aware. I'm like painfully aware.
And I feel like you do have a decent style that allows you to maybe have a little bit of extra anxiety that can kind of channel it into your energy that is on stage. Yeah,
I am like very upfront about being like anxious, and people are cool with that most of the time.
It'd be one thing if you were getting boozed up and then being a yucky crowd work person.
That's what I should do.
And then sober, you're like,
oh my god, how long you guys been together? It's gonna be the new me.
Yeah, are you gonna be a crowd work comic?
Crowd work comic.
You should do 20 minutes of crowd work tomorrow.
Yeah, hell yeah, they would love that. They'd be like, this is why we booked Zoe Dodson.
See, every Monday for Reggie's, I always go, I'm going to work on crowd work today. And then there's no crowd.
Nice.
So we're going to have so much fun on that show later.
Hell yeah.
Where are we at? We're at about 40 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Do you feel like we got to the bottom of it today?
To the bottom of it, yeah. I think we're really figuring it out.
I
think we're making big moves.
Are you a better person today than you were yesterday?
I'm less of a piece of shit today
yes?
than I was.
You are less of a piece of shit?
45 minutes ago, yeah.
Wow.
I think I'm less of a piece of shit now.
What question should I be asking to get to the bottom of it more in this podcast?
To get to the bottom of not being a piece of shit?
Yeah, to how people are bettering themselves.
Oh, man.
Give me notes on this.
Give you notes. This is why I'm not a podcast.
What do you feel that is on the inside that was trapped the whole time during the podcast that I wasn't able to get in there and scoop out?
Like in me?
Yeah, inside of you.
What have you not figured out?
Yeah. What's a core element that makes you that I failed to manage to bring up?
Oh man, let's see. I talked about how my dad is dead. I don't know. There's a lot of things that make somebody a piece of shit. Like, what do you think has made you into a piece of shit?
I think I have a huge ego.
Okay.
Oh, I was thinking about this on my run. I have a whole hypothesis of when I was a kid, I was such a mama's boy, and like I was so spoiled. I like my dad was a single mom basically, and she spoiled me so much. My mom, when she calls me, still she's like, "My cars," and I'm like, "Hi, mom."
No kidding.
Yeah, it really jarred.
We
Riley
are very different.
Yeah, so that when you were talking about how you had to like be an adult, I got
like thrown to the wolves.
I got as much freedom as I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I could go do whatever I want, and my mom wouldn't like like be like, you have to be home by this time. But she like, if I ever fucked up or something, she'd be like, no, my baby boy. And so like I kind of lived without a lot of consequences, I feel. So but when I was a kid, I had this like stunted ego, and then like when I started school, I was like in like the accelerated classes, and like in my head I was like, oh, I'm the fucking
Yeah, me
shit.
too. I used to be smart. Not a lot of people know that about me.
I
that
feel
I'm
like
smart.
Yeah,
People don't know that.
I think that this is a thing that like everybody like that gets put into those classes, like half of them like continue on, and then the other half like are told that they're smart, and then they're like, oh, so I'm just smart. I don't really have to, because I never tried in school, and then I think I got
Same.
I think I had like a good jump start on it, but then I never applied myself, and then when you don't exercise the muscle that's in your skull, it gets weak, and so I think I became pretty dumb. But I had this inflated sense of ego that I could do anything I wanted, and my mama's little boy, and I'm the greatest human to ever touch this planet. And then I got to school, and then I realized that I am weak and not athletic, and I'm weird, and I can't make a lot of friends, and people don't like me. And so then I have these two clashing things in my brain where I'm so insecure but have such a huge ego at the same time. And then and that's kind of like led to why I'm such a piece of shit, because like I try to I don't know, somebody commented when I like did a long episode that they think I am a narcissist, not in like a mean way. They were like, from a psychology point of view, I think the things that you're struggling with, because I like try to get a lot of external validation. I talked with my therapist today though. She said she doesn't think I'm a narcissist.
Do you think you're a narcissist?
I like was reading up on it. I was getting pissed, and I was like, damn, I do a lot of that. He's scared of the fire truck. So I think like I have this where I'll like dismiss people a lot, or like in comedy, like I'll watch somebody for a second and be like, oh, they're not funny, and then like we'll never even give them the light of day, like, and talk to them. And I'm like, and I know it's a natural, so I'm trying to like consciously go against it. And that's why my therapist was like, well, if you are trying, that makes you not a narcissist. And I'm like, well, sure, but I'm still an asshole. Like, I still...
You can be an asshole without being a narcissist. That's fair.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of that has led me to be a piece of shit, because I have these, like... Yeah. I will legit, like... I'll stand in the mirror, like, looking at my hair, going like, oh my God, I'm balding. I'm so gross.
Do you think you're vain?
Well, yeah, I think I'm vain, because then I'll do that, and then like I'll be like, but you're getting in pretty fucking good shape though, huh? And I'll have those two thoughts at the same time. Yeah, I'll like look and I'll be like, I'm fucking hideous. I'm gonna be bald and gross forever. And then at the same time go, but you're looking pretty damn good. And I always have these like, maybe I'm just insane
that makes sense
person.
To me though. That makes sense. I feel like it's interesting though. You can take like, it's like, you can still end up a piece of shit, like very different routes. I feel like we took really different routes, like, and I think I struggle with some of the same stuff, like, but in a different way. It's like I was not like, my parents were not affectionate at all.
No.
And so I think that's part of why I am who I am too. I think I can be kind of like, not cold, like I'm nice and everything, but I think like I've always been kind of like stoic, and I don't want to say I look down on people who aren't, but I have like very little patience for people who like are more sensitive than me almost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, and I think I'm not like proud of that, but it's like part of why I'm a piece of shit is like.
But you have this superiority because you are able to hold your emotions more.
I can handle anything. Yeah.
You're like, stop being such a bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, don't be a bitch.
See,
like, because to me, I can handle anything, and like, I don't know. I'm also super weird when it comes to like, I don't think I'm vain. I think like I really struggle with like my appearance. It's always been like something that I struggled with. And I think that made me nicer. Like, I think I'm nicer because I always thought I was ugly. And so that made me be nice. But I don't think the world has like always, I don't think I'm treated like an ugly person. Does that make sense? I don't think the world treats me like an ugly person. People never like called me ugly, but I felt that way. But and so I have like a weird, I don't know. Like, I feel like objectively, who I am to the world is like different than how I feel. You know what I mean? And it makes me like a fucking weirdo. Yeah. Because of it.
I completely understand.
So I'm like a weirdo to the world because of stuff like that. But yeah, I think that I'm kind of like cold, and I can be kind of like a piece of shit just in the sense like, oh, you can't handle that? Like, fucking grow up. You know what I mean? And I'm so like intolerant of like people who I feel like they're like not handling their shit.
Has this caused beefs with people where have you gotten into an implication? Has anybody thought of you as an asshole for going sure like, how can you not handle this?
I'm sure many people have thought of me as an asshole. And I don't want to be, and I try not to be, but I'm trying to like, I'm just trying to like be better about that. Like I think it's good for, and that's part of why like I had a problem with drinking too, is because it makes me like more sensitive. I think I'm like more of like an
Yeah.
emotional being when I drink, and I like that. Like I look for that to be
Oh,
more.
interesting.
I would like to be just like a warmer like like I
Yeah.
think if emotions go from like say like 1 is really sad and 10 is really happy and excited, I feel like a lot of days I only go from like a 3 to a 6. Like I don't like reach the ends of like the spectrum that I'm trying to reach. And alcohol like expands that for me.
Hmm.
Like when I drink.
So, like, I'm a big crier when I drink. Love to cry.
I love to cry too, and I don't cry if I'm sober.
Oh,
Like
interesting. See, I can cry sober. I'm the
stop bragging.
sensitive little guy
I
that
can cry sober.
you think is a little bitch. I
That's what
I
I'm saying.
love to show my emotion because it always got me attention as a kid. So that's why I think I still
Mm.
show so much emotion because when I got really upset or I used to throw like temper tantrums in school. Like I was like
Really?
that kind of freak. Like because I think that like it would get me attention. I also have like a young sister that's like pretty. She was pretty insane in the household, so I was like my mom's little boy, and then I had a younger sister that was like a problem child. So she then got all the attention, and I think right when that
You
started to
didn't like
happen,
that.
yeah, I didn't like that. So then I started to like throw fits in school and try to like do things that would get me attention.
Interesting. See, I think I was like, I don't know if I was the opposite, but because I'm like a middle child, like second youngest, and I was very good. I was always like well behaved. I was never like a disrespectful kid. I was very like just kind of minded my business and kept to myself, and I was a good kid. So I was just like ignored by my parents. I think I'm like
Ah.
one of those kids. They didn't pay attention to me. Like, so I think that's why I started doing bad shit just because, and like dated like assholes and stuff like that. Just it was the perfect recipe.
Yeah,
Like I
okay,
had
so
parents who
I'm
didn't pay
interested
attention to me.
about this. I feel like this is something that always goes on the mind of a man who has not really been in many relationships. When you say you've dated an asshole, why were they an asshole, and what attracted you to them originally?
Ooh, that's a good question. I started dating young. Like I
Yeah,
think like the first
you seem like a girl that started dating.
I know. I know. And I think that's I don't really date now, and that's I'm over it. That's probably why
Yeah?
cuz like I just like it doesn't really appeal to me most times. Like it'll happen like now and then, but I don't like seek it out.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I was like dating when I was young. I think like I I got my first like boyfriend when I was like 14, but I say it was young because we stayed together until I was like 17.
Ah.
But he was not a good guy. He was a very, very, very bad guy. And I think that's the only reason we stayed together so long, just because he was like a bad guy and like wouldn't let me leave him. when I
Yeah,
was in
okay. So
prison.
as a woman, this
Yeah.
must be a completely different experience because in my head, I'm like, oh, a person gives bad signs. You go, "Ugh."
Exactly.
But you have fear.
I had
now.
fear, yeah. So, and I was like a kid, so I think like especially as a kid, you don't really know how to navigate that kind of stuff. Like I didn't know what to do. I was a kid, so like I think it was just crazy. He like wouldn't let me leave him. So, but it's like I don't know what like attracted me to like bad guys. I think part of it was just a proximity thing. Like I didn't grow up in like a nice town or like a nice area, so part of it was like proximity, like the people that I was around. Like I was like a smart kid too, so I was in these like smart classes, but I lived on like the poor side of town, which means like the people I hung out with were like bad kids, but then I would like be in class with like smart kids who like had good parents. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so I
that
had a
makes
weird
sense.
like I just had like a weird, and I didn't give a fuck about school either. So like I didn't like I felt like I didn't fit in like with like the smart kids because I was like a crash out, and like I just felt like I didn't fit in. So I was like close in proximity to people who were bad, and I just think like I don't know, there's like a recipe to bad dudes probably, that like I was like a vulnerable kid, and I think people it's less like what attracted me to them. They probably were just like attracted to
wait,
me.
was he older?
No, he was actually my age, but he had like a lot of problems too. Like my first boyfriend, he had like a bad home life and shit like that. He had like a lot of problems. But I feel like when I was younger, I was always like dating like pieces of shit, like people who like got in trouble and people who like
So was it the like was it the fear of violence that was like
that was keeping me in it.
yeah
Kind of.
okay
It was the kind of thing where like I don't know, because I was like a little ass kid, and I'd break up with him, and he'd be like, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself, and he would like stalk me, and he would like harass me, and like show up at my house, and like, yeah, it was just like threats. It was just like, but I'm sure they were like baseless, but when I was so young, it's like you don't really.
Yeah, it's so interesting as a dude, I can kind of understand, like, not like saying I like condone it, but like when I hear stories of dudes like doing shit like that, I'm like, I guess I know the part of the brain that gets those impulses, but I'm so glad on me those things are like, that's not where my piece of shittery is. Like, I wouldn't go, I'm gonna, you leave me, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Like,
yeah.
but that I understand where that like part of the brain is. I'm just glad that mine's toned down.
Like,
just
I get
other
it,
parts
but
are.
Yeah, so I think that's what I was up to when I was young. I was just like dealing with like. And like my parents didn't pay attention to me, so like they didn't realize that like I was like stuck in some shit. I was like in some shit, and they didn't realize it because they were like not paying attention. So it's like it was just like a perfect storm of like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like how it ended up for me.
So what are your goals and aspirations that are attainable in the next few years? What things do you want to change and cement as these are what I do now?
I think like I've built a lot of good habits for myself. I don't date pieces of shit anymore.
You don't date pieces of shit anymore?
I don't do that anymore.
Are you a person who wants to find like a family?
I don't think I'll ever have kids.
No?
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't know if that's in the cards for me. You know, I think like part of why I'm a piece of shit is like I have trouble like trusting people, and I have trouble with like I just don't know. I don't know if it's in the cards. I don't know if I would ever trust someone enough to like have their kid. I just can't,
that's what I was.
You know, I can't see it happening. Like, I would hope so. Maybe someday. I don't know.
Yeah, the dude that would be responsible enough to raise a kid, would you be attracted to them? That's always the issue.
True. Yeah, it's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. In the next couple of years, I just want to. I feel like I protect my peace and stuff. I'm good with that. I don't like. I don't know. I don't get involved with pieces of shit anymore, so I want to keep up with that. I'm working hard. I want to keep up with that. I would like to try and, like, get better at comedy. You know, I want to, like...
It's always the goal.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to, like, try and get more headlining spots eventually. And just, like, do better overall. Make better choices. I don't know. Like, this year, I'm making good choices. I'm doing good. But last year, I was fucking up.
Proud
all
of you.
Year. Thank you. I was fucking up all year last year.
Well, so that was last year.
I'm trying to get my money right and fucking get good at comedy and not die. And that's it. I think I can do that. Like,
all right, those are attainable goals.
It's reasonable,
and
right?
you can do that. Yeah.
Don't die.
Don't die. Get better at
some
comedy.
Debts, get better at comedy.
Don't fall in
peasy.
love with a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's easy peasy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. 2025 is going to be your year.
Hell yeah. We're in it.
All right. Do we feel that did we get to the bottom of it? Was that we got to the assholes thing?
We figured it out. We figured out how you can still be a piece of shit even if your like situation is completely different. You can still end up being a piece of shit. But more importantly, you can stop being a
horseshoe
piece of shit.
theory. I feel that we both came from opposite ends of the spectrum and ended up here at the top.
Similar result.
But well, oh my God, I've slowly kept moving over completely out of frame. Anything this comes out too late for your Laugh Factory headline, but anything you want to plug? Where can people find you?
Dude, just my Insta. If anyone wants to see me at work all day talking shit, my Insta, bad boy Zoe D. Everything I do is on my Insta. You could do something with the work chronicles. You think so?
Yeah.
People tell me that a lot, actually.
I think they're interesting takes, and I think that there could be a way to contentify it.
I know. I think about that a lot. That's another. I should add that to my list.
So yeah, check out Zoe's updates from Aldi and all the.
Don't tell my boss.
Oh, sorry. Mishaps from the grocery store that she works at. The unit unidentified one. Guys, thank you so much. This has been I Don't Want to Be a Piece of Shit. Peace.